Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. All right, tonight, today, this afternoon, wherever you're at in the world, whatever time zone, my message is transmutating into your head. Yeah, that came out great. Let's jump right into today's show. For those who looked at the title, we're going to continue the Redux series. You might say rebirth. No, it's not. It's a waste of time. Why even bother? Only if I get like 20 chat notifications from different people am I going to cover rebirth. So that's not happening. Let's go in and talk about Wolverine versus Cyclops, X-Men Regenesis. Now, I'm going to have a couple of caveats that I'm going to present up front. I know swap mechanic is real, and it's easy to say every character is a go for whatever magical matchup that you have. But when it comes down to it, whether from Rise and Fall or even House of X, there are just some better plays for certain characters, even with specific matchups. So the characters that I am giving you are for certain tactics, certain matchups that I think are potentially viable, or give you certain gimmicks that I think that are potentially viable. I know someone might say, but Dark Logos, why don't I build a Utopia team and it's X-Men and then I do the blankety blank blank? Well, my good friend, you can't swap with Professor X because he's not Utopia or he's not Jean Grey School, thus completely nullifying that whole entire affair. So unless you can get Professor X or Magneto, Utopia or Jean Grey School, a good chunk of whatever you're thinking and plotting in your head just does not work. Being 100 with you. Now, there are some complicated, timey-wimey, pull out the screwdriver and let's poke and prod at the dialect level of some silliness here that I don't think a lot of people have thought about in their conversations. Okay? And shout outs to my Phoenix Nest bros. I'm not going to spoil any of your tech. Okay? But they did give me some deeper understanding on some methodology. So these are, I'm going to be 110 with y'all. These are my theorems. I'm not giving you PJ's theorem or Lucas's theorems or Wes's theorems or Joe's theorems or anybody else's theorems, Tom's theorems. These are my theorems. So if someone comes back and say, but PJ said, but Tom said, but Lucas said, but Joe said, like, that's their ideas. These are mine. It's my podcast. There we go. All right, so let's start this off. And I know some folks are going to be like, okay, you're starting here. And one last disclaimer. I am going to indicate if it's viable at full or viable at half dial. Okay? I'm just going to say that up front. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at Wolverine. He is a full and a half. All right, so he's good at full dial, he's good at half dial. Why am I saying this? All right, in the current game, at 120 for what he has, he's 8 clicks deep. Your opponent has to negate his super senses. His defense isn't that high, but he does start with a good 12 attack. And they have to go through his 2 stop clicks. which again, 120 is a high investment. But what type of teams is he working on? He's working on Avengers. He's working on X-Men. Those are your two main keywords that you're looking at with using him. He has the Weapon X project, Stop, Combat Reflexes, Super Senses. Then he also has Healing Factor, which is Toughness. So he has Toughness in the entire dial. When Wolverine clears one or more action tokens, heal him one click. Now, why is this big right now? There are more than enough game mechanics that allow for you to get get pluses to leadership roles. Or with the rally tokens, it's like, oh, hey, did I successfully get this leadership? Did you roll a 5 on my dude and hit him for 3 damage? Well, I'm going to remove one of these leadership tokens. And, I'm going to take a token off of Wolverine. Oh, Wolverine will heal one. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Does that make him an unstoppable juggernaut brick? No, but it does make him increase his longevity. It does give him a chance to sort of start healing back up, because in reality, at that 120 level, is he a high investment? Yes. Does he need to get babysat by probably Professor X or somebody? Yes, if we're trying to, really keep the healing going. But I will say this, your opponent has to invest a lot to either neuter him defensively or neuter him offensively. They have to make a pick. And if they're like, we got to stop Wolverine from healing, we're going to take away the leadership. Okay, cool. You wasted time going after the leadership. Now, I know some people will say, hey, there's better Wolverines. Okay, you can make that argument. But for being this main force in your face, tanky type character, he is viable. If I was to say tier 1 is the top, tier 3 is the bottom, sort of going back and reinforcing that scale, I say he's about a 2.5. Okay, he's almost in that 3 zone. I understand. But it's just the state of the game we have a whole bunch of little weenies. Okay? But if you're able to get those like Hail Mary, throw it downfield leaderships where they don't have to be adjacent and they can be within 1 or 2 or even, full map or on my side of the map leaderships, I think he's a lot more viable. Harder sell at 120, easier sell at 70. He only has 1 stop click at 70. I do know that. But I think he's a lot harder to deal with, just overall. Okay? Next up is Cyclops. Now, again, he's a full and a half. And I know some of you are going to be like, Dark Logos, you're on that stuff, man. Full level, the Cyclops, come on. And hear me out. Okay, first and foremost, his range is above average because our average ranges are 6. He has a decent attack value. He has energy shield deflection. But even more so, he has leadership. And in the current environment, having that leadership is useful, because as your pieces are moving downfield, taking those shots, Cyclops is sometimes the second or third character, and he's adjacent to multiple characters, in particular if those characters have empower or enhancement. And yes, this Cyclops can throw hands, so don't get it twisted because he has RCE that he cannot punch. He still can do that. Okay. So that is something that you need to be mindful of. Okay. The next thing I would point out is, it says at the beginning of the game, if Cyclops, he's not going to be part of Utopia. Mutants united in Utopia. Leadership free. If another friendly character hit an opposing character this turn, heal Cyclops 1 click. Now we go back to the rally mechanic. How many characters have you hit me, I get this on my die roll when I attack? Oh, look, hey, buddy, I get free perplex because you did this. I get free probs because you did this. I get +1 to my attack roll because you did this. You hit me with the 5. You rolled a 5 on super senses. All these other things where I think a lot of folks need to realize rally mechanic reaches back and makes a lot more X-Men viable. It reaches back and makes a lot more X-Men viable. And this is the part where I think in particular with this Cyclops is people will sleep because, oh, I landed an attack with, let's say, Havoc. Okay, cool. Now I get to heal up 1. Oh, he went from being on RCE to Psychic Blast. That's going to suck for you. Another thing where you might want to consider with him and Wolverine, Soul Gem. Soul Gem. You're getting that +1 defense, and you're getting that steel energy on both of your attacks. So you can heal off that steel energy. You also can heal off of your hits, which makes them sort of a little bit more worth their heftier points. Okay? So then you also have your stop, click, energy, shield, deflection, and super senses, which is, I gotta say, really good. It's more viable than it was before. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, next up, long-term ID card. People are going to know the value of Kitty Pryde at 40. I'm not doing high point Kitty Pryde. That's a waste of points. Why are we looking at Kitty Pryde? Well, first and foremost, congratulations, Free Lockheed. Yay. So there's that. Number 2, she has enhancement, which allows her to be a lot more supporting for, number 1, Lockheed. Because now Lockheed's throwing out that 2 damage instead of that 1 damage with EE. Okay. And the second thing, by having enhancement, there are a lot of X-Men formations that she's just useful on. A little bit more than she was before. Then she also has moving through the ground. She has sidestep and stealth. And she has built-in willpower. Okay, so she can start taking tokens off herself, which she couldn't do before. So that adds another level of value onto Kitty Pryde, where definitely when she's on her precision strike and in power clicks, your opponent has to be a lot more mindful that, hey, well, she took a token off last turn. She's on senses now. I might have to deal with her for 2 turns. That is a reality if she's not dealt with quickly. And being at 4 clicks, your opponent still has to do some level of investment with the average character to one-shot her. Okay? She can be X-Men heal fodder, and she can be buff fodder. So either way it goes, she's good. On the scale of the tier 1 to 3, she is tier 1.5. She is good. She is good, especially generating Lockheed. Okay, she's a force multiplier. She's giving you increased damage output. She has the ability to take tokens off herself. She has the ability to get around the map because she has improved movement, ignores elevated, hindering, blocking, and characters. She just goes. There are very few cons to the character for her point value. Okay? So, but is she a juggernaut in of herself? No. Is she this bastion of multiple support powers? No. Does she require some finesse? Yes. Okay. Can she be a tie-up piece? She's about a C-grade tie-up piece. But when I start adding it on, I can take tokens off myself. I can buff my allies. I can maneuver around the battlefield and ignore characters. I have decent movement. That all together as a package creates a way better product than a lot of other characters in that point value. Okay? All right. And also generate another attacker. Okay? So let's go on and move on to Storm at half. Not full, half only. At 50 points, this is a harder sell for most people, I understand. And maybe better off as a starting character and somebody that you swap out just depending on the situation. So let's talk about why that is. Well, first and foremost, Storm has a 6 range, which puts her at the average range mark. She has the wind at my command. Free, choose one, Force Blast or Sidestep. Storm can use the chosen power until the end of your turn. Now, the Sidestep running shot combination makes sure that she can get into position, but the Force Blast mainly is a lot more useful when it comes down to her Call Down the Lightning, which is free, make a ranged attack targeting a single opposing character that Storm knocked back this turn. So if you pick the Force Blast, you could power action Force Blast, then make a free attack. Or you could pick Force Blast, attack the character. If you hit, knock them back, and then make a second attack. Now, why is this a bigger deal in the current format? Well, one, knockback is 3 squares, not, max 3 squares, not like across the map. The other thing that makes this very, very good is that this allows us to double tap characters. And there are a lot of characters like Chase A, that just comes out in my mind, Blackheart, that just need another tap in their buttocks to get off the map. Yes, she doesn't have Precision Strike. Yes, she doesn't have Psychic Blast. Yes, you have to deal with base numbers. I understand all that. But still, getting the option to double tap is, for little investment, is very important. Because you can factor into your running shot that you're going to knock them back 3 and keep them in range. That's not a problem. Okay? So she has a lot more value than people think. I still believe that she's going to get slept on. But I think that she's good for you, and you need to consider her. Next up is Beast at 40, half. Straight up half. Don't play him at full. Play him at half. Why are we playing him at half? First and foremost is we are able to pick between our turns. Are we getting Outwit, or are we getting the Battle Fury and the +1 stats? And shape change is even more of a thing than it was when he was on the ID card. Okay? What keywords does he have that just starts to blow up his value? Animal. I could stop there. Avengers. I could sort of stop there too. But he also has Scientist and X-Men, which are, all 4 of those are viable keywords for him to be useful on. All right. So right there's a lot of goodness and a lot more flexibility, because again, we all know, hey, I got teams with Power Cosmic. Is my Outwit good? Nope. But is having 11 attack and a 5 move charge and 4 damage better? Yes, because and again, we sometimes look at things in the bubble of the period in which they appeared, that first impression, and it's not rainbow magic to have +1 all stats when you're able to pack 3 perplexes, or when homie comes in on an ID card. But when you're able to say, like, yo, I can't buff damage like I used to, and he has Battle Fury as well when he does this, and I can turn this Battle Fury on and off because it's a free action, yeah, I like this. Like, that's another selling point. This is Battle Fury on command. This is not Battle Fury all day, every day. And that alone should make you look a lot more seriously at Beast. He should be on more teams than he's considered. All right, next up is Half Dial Gambit. And I know some of you man, Half Dial Gambit, oh gosh. But hear me out why I'm saying this, because Half Dial Gambit is a lot stronger than you think. So first off is he has Thieves Guild Training, which is Sidestep and Stealth, which does increase his swing just a little bit. Having that Stealth gives him a little added protection, but it's not as good as old Stealth. Let me show you a trick, and this is where he's worth it. Choose one, Energy Explosion in Force Blast. Which, remember, what does Force Blast give us? Up to 3 knockback. Okay, so just blowing apart formations and doing it well. Or Quake and Giant Reach 2. Quake and Giant Reach 2. Okay, and again, why is this a big deal? Having access to the ability to knock back 2 sets of targets. You could melee target multiple characters. Okay? You can charge up and not Quake and pick Force Blast and target 2 characters. You might be saying, Dark Logos, why would I do that? Well, depending on how much you want to knock each one back. Okay? You have or you have empowers. That's another thing, is you have empowers. Having dual targets and access to a melee option is a lot more viable now than it was before. Is it something, a little bit more silly and uncouth? Yeah. Is it anathema to the current mindset? Not so much. But it is something that we can start looking at. That's not even considering like, oh, look, he also has Perplex, which is also useful. All right, next up is 80-point Magneto. And I know some of you are also like, whoa, that's a little bit hefty for as little as we get. He's hefty, hefty, hefty. And he needs to probably go out with the trash. But let's look at him. First off, he has controlling magnetic fields. And I think this is the important thing. Opposing characters within 2 squares in line of fire consider Magneto adjacent for movement purposes. This is big for zoning. This is really big for zoning. And this can do a lot more than I think a lot of people are aware of. And considering that we have enough maps that there are these intimate encounters in between 2 teams, that has an advantage. Definitely when you start dealing with these huge melee options that are appearing. Also, he has energy shield deflection, willpower, which is, again, like I said, more viable than it was previously. Barrier as free, but only to generate 1 blocking terrain marker. When moving, opposing characters adjacent to Magneto's barrier must roll breakaway if they don't already need to. Okay. So, I have improved movement. Does not matter. The only one that I could think of, even with blocking, they would still have to roll breakaway from the blocking before they could destroy the square blocking. Okay. So, therein lies, there are a lot of heavy controls there for certain teams in approaching Magneto, and that you can use him as a control. Now, I'm going to be 100. Yeah, is TK as good as it was before then, as it was back then? No. Is the sidestep not as good? Yeah, considering the price. Is his range sort of crappy? Yes. Okay. Having leadership up front, is that enough? No. But the Brotherhood Brotherhood of Mutants team ability and the X-Men team ability are very good compensations. They're not gold, but they are enough for you to look at. If I was to rank it, again, 2.5. If on the right team, if he's on your sideboard and you're bringing him in and out, that's a solid 2. Can he work on Brotherhood swap outs? Not so much because of the whole Magneto thing. Can he work on the X-Men swap outs? Yes. Again, you need to know why I would swap him out. All right, next up is Rachel Summers at half. And I know for people that listened to my previous review, I was very pro Rachel Summers because I just thought 50 points, hypersonic speed, 7 range. The rest is, history. She's good. It gets better now because she has telekinesis, and then telekinesis is free, but only if Rachel Summers was targeted with an attack since your last turn. So telekinesis is free, just overall is really good. But this is where she starts to shine. She has energy shield deflection, toughness, and willpower. So she has the ability now to start taking tokens off herself, giving you a lot more momentum than you had before. Again, is this the powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria of an X-Men theme team? No, it's not. But is this a nice cell wall that will help support everything? Yeah, this is some good backup. And again, at 50 points, she is a good swap out. She's at good swap out numbers. All right, next up is Iceman. And Iceman didn't work the way that I hoped that he worked previously, but currently I think Iceman is really good. Now, why is Iceman really good? So first and foremost, he has Watch Your Step. It's slippery. When Iceman hits one or more opposing characters with a range attack, choose one for all hit characters. Speed -2. I could. That's a lot. There are a lot of characters that just need their speed gimped, and you can do this to 2 targets. Or attack -1, which in some cases can be significant enough. Hit characters modify the chosen combat values until your next turn. Okay? So, every time you hit, you have the ability of nerfing 2 of their attackers' movement or their attack. That is a very strong effect. If I can force my opponent to use their perplex to get their stats back to the way they were, and I got to do damage to them, then that's a win. Because I can look at it like this. I hit an opponent. Okay? I don't have to do damage. It just says hit. I can do all my damage to one target and they're both -2 movement or both -1 attack. Okay. He has barrier, which I'm going to be honest with you, in today's format is very strong and provides a very nice defensive option for X-Men. Is he the cheapest barrier? I don't think so. But I do believe that he is probably one of the better barrier options. Not the only barrier option. Okay? Because I know there's Lisa Reyes and there's one more X-Men that does barrier, and I can't remember who it is right now. That's worth it. But I can't remember right now. So then we sort of take it a little bit further. It says when Iceman moves after resolution of each move, so this includes in his hypersonic speed, you may immediately place a blocking terrain marker. Now this is a singular marker. In a square, move through. Remove the marker at the beginning of your next turn. This allows you to fortify small areas or create small little enclaves for you to maneuver around if you can get in and out. Okay? Now, for each move, so that means when you move in for your hypersonic speed attack, you have to place your first piece. And when you move out, you have to place your second piece. If you go for a melee attack, which you can and target 2 characters, and you can't break away, you do not get to place that second piece. Now, what type of things could you really benefit from using onto Iceman? If I was going to be honest, it would be Zero Ring. Because you would be able to get that third piece of free barrier or free blocking. that would immediately come into my mind. You could also, I think, one of the rings gives you precision strike. I'm going off the top of my head. I haven't thought about rings in a couple of weeks, so I could be wrong. Overall, like, I really do like that. Power ring, I really don't think power ring is a good deal. But it could give you some damage multiplication. If you hit 2 targets and you crit hit or something. Or roll a 10 up. Alright. Next up is Hope Summers. And Hope Summers is at 40. And she's at half. She's clearly at half. This is going to be a very high utility piece for your X-Men teams. Okay? So you might be saying, all right, well, why is Hope all of a sudden coming back up on the Dark Logos consideration list? All right, so first and foremost, she gets, well, the key thing is she has Mutant Messiah. Free. Choose an adjacent character. Okay? Does not have to be friendly. If the chosen character is adjacent, until your next turn, Hope Summers can use the standard attack and damage powers that character can use. All right. Now, you might be saying, hold up, Dark Logos. Did you read that right? And I'm like, yes, let's read this again. Choose an adjacent character. If the chosen character is adjacent, until your next turn, Hope Summer can use the standard attack and damage powers, plural, that character can use. Not possesses. Alright, well, why does this matter? I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked. Let's take a hop, skip, and a jump to House of X. And there are a couple of key characters from House of X that are really, really good for this trait. Let me see, where did you go? And I think the first one. Okay, here we go. Moira X. Moira X isn't a standard character, can't be equipped or a pilot. Moira X takes a maximum of 1 damage from attacks, can't be healed, and can't be chosen for Mastermind or Controlling Revival. Protected Pulse Wave. Moira X can use standard powers printed on her printed on her card for lower click numbers. Is Moira X expensive? Yes, but when she gets, let's say she takes 1 hit from a standard attack and she's mid-dial, congratulations, Hope Summers has access to Incapacitate, Precision Strike, Blaze Claw's Fangs, Smoke Cloud, Support, Enhancement, Exploit Weakness, and Prob. Okay. Let's see who else are we could look at. I think Rogue. Nope. Rogue is not a good pick. There are a couple of others that have like multiple support powers on their damage power. They're multiple standard powers. Oh gosh. And you know the sad part is I might be thinking of Rise and Fall of people, so there's that too. Let's see here. Well, yeah. So I'll say that another where I think Moya McTaggart is also one. If I can find her. Yeah, I have to find her. But yeah, so when you start like looking at the thing, okay, you can say, "Oh man, Phoenix, congratulations on Blaze Claw's Fangs. Battle Fury and exploit weakness. That's something that she could have. Yeah, it's like just sort of go through it. And there's different characters that you can look up. Not even all just standard characters or X-Men characters. There are other characters like Faust, which you could get Outwit, Prob, and Enhancement, plus Psychic Blast with Low Dial Faust. So congratulations, you just doubled that up. So Hope Summers, okay, and you get Perplex. So that's a lot. Like your starting click, you get Perplex. It makes it so that you are now at a larger advantage in terms of options, because you can just severely clone unique characters that should not have duplicates. I know there's a Moya McTaggart that does something. No, Moya McTaggart allows you to double up on your stuff, so that wouldn't help. Sorry, there were characters that I was like, I know there's one in House X, and the sad part is I might be thinking Rise and Fall, which is where we're at right now. So, but yeah, all right. So let's keep it moving. Next up, Cannonball. Why Cannonball? Now, if you've listened to me over the years, I've been pro what I've called the chisel. Having someone that just takes out a crap ton of barrier for you, because that's the name of the game. And for X-Men, if you see on the other side of the field a Molecule Man, and your opponent's like, well, I'm just going to be as annoying as all get out to you and put up these 25 squares of barrier. I know that's not possible, but bear with me. That's how it feels. You have Cannonball that you can send out there for 40 points, who has ignores blocking terrain and destroys blocking terrain as the character moves through it. And unless their opponents are right flush with the barrier, he's just going to go boop-a-doop-a-doo and make an opening. Okay? He's just going to come through and make an opening. And that will allow you to get a shot off. Now, he has Blast Off, Sidestep, Power, Improved Movement, Characters. So yeah, there you go. Move in a direct path, then make a close attack targeting all characters Cannonball move through. Regardless of adjacency, instead of normal damage, hit characters are dealt Cannonball's printed damage value and placed into a square that he did not move through adjacent to their current square. So that's a hard setup, and the only way I really see you getting that off is if you have a mass mind control and you're playing Jason Wingard or something like that. Next up, you have Blast Field. Toughness. At the end of your turn, if Cannonball moved through at least one square this turn, choose one. Energy, Shield Deflection, or Impervious. He can use the chosen power until your next turn. So that's just great. You're either going to be a 19 or you're going to have Impervious. So that's just great. So Cannonball is, again, is he a gotta be on every team thing? No. He is a prime swap out candidate. And I'm mainly throwing this to people because in the conversations with swap out, I think there's a lot of options that are really good. No cap, as the kids say nowadays. No cap, all rap, all facts. I forgot what it was. It's like no cap, real rap, all facts. That's what it is. I got the gray, so brothers next year will be 40. So just saying. But when we look at this creates an interesting dynamic, because if we're dealing with the rush down, I'm in your face, screw you and your mama and your team, Cannonball is not your guy. But when you are dealing with defensive play, which I'm telling you is viable, okay, Cannonball is a solid option for X-Men. Now, are you going to be like, oh, I'd rather have Cannonball over Cyclops Sentinel? Probably not. Okay, probably not. But again, is Cyclops Sentinel more useful in more scenarios? Yes, he is. At the same time, he only can blow up one square blocking with his shot. Cannonball can blow up a bunch with his movement. So you have to sort of take it as it comes and make some strong decisions. And that's why I'm putting Cannonball in that 2.5. Okay. Hope Summers is a 1, tier 1. It's just no one believes that she's tier 1. She is straight tier 1. Whereas Cannonball, he's definitely that 2.5. He's on the sideline. All right, let's move to our next option. That is half dial magic. Now, some of you might be wondering, Dark Logos, half dial magic, like, okay, like, what am I getting out of this? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked. Let's go ahead and read into her specials. So, stepping disc through limbo, phasing teleport. When magic uses it, she has passenger 2. She has 10 movement. And she's 40 points in passenger 2. I like to point out just the fact that she's passenger 2. That matters. There's not a lot of passenger 5 and 6 and 7 and stuff with X-Men. And your passenger 3 with Blink is 60 points. And I think you have a passenger 3 with Pixie. Let me check real quick. Pixie is passenger 3 at 45 points. So again, she is contending with Pixie. So I'll say like, ooh, she's in the same point, ballpark range. But when we go back to Magic, she has a couple of things over Pixie. Because that to me is your fairest comparison. Pixie in comparison to Magic. First off, Pixie does not have like a good offensive start. All right. Magic has Blaze, Claws, Fangs. And Steel Energy. With the 3 damage. So if you're just like, I don't want a Blaze right now, she can come in there and be like, I got 3 damage for you, homie. All right. She has the passenger 2, can carry characters regardless of flight symbol. That doesn't matter so much anymore. After resolutions, if she moves 5 squares or less, and this is the kicker, she may make a close attack modify attack minus X, where X is the number of characters she carried. Now, I know some of you might say, ooh, that puts her at an 8. I'm like, yeah, that's a hard sell. But also hear me when I say this. She can carry 2 empowers and hit for 5. I'll say it again. She can carry 2 empowers and hit for 5. That is something that I don't think people were ready for. Now, again, is a 10 attack rainbow magic? No, it's not. The first time. The second attack is going to be a 12 for 5. Oh, but she carried up Wolverine. And that has Empower. And she carried up Colossus. So which one of these 3 are you going to go after? The Wolverine, that's probably going to Blaze Claws, Fang you, and hit you hard. The Colossus, that is probably going to hit you hard. Or Magic, who's sitting there and has Mystics. Which one is your opponent going to hit first? Now, you can make the argument, Dark Logos, you read the back of the card and see who you could kill. That's true. But if your main attacker can't afford to be hit by Mystics damage and still keep that Kamehameha going, they might think twice. And so, and again, I really want to emphasize, does that mean just because she could carry all these characters in that she's going to be hitting? No, she got X-Men team ability. Your big guy took a hit. She could take one for the team and use that X-Men team ability and heal that character up one. So what? She's a 40-point investment. She can be swapped out for any of the other 40-point investments that I've talked about, like Beast, like Hope, like Cannonball. Okay? Those are things that you want to be thinking about with the swap tech. Easy 1-to-1 ratios. Okay? So, I got to say, like, something to consider. Next up is Warbird. Now, why Warbird? And it's not for what you think. It's not for X-Men. It's for Shi'ar. It's for Shi'ar. And getting the flag dude. And getting them busts with the flag dude. That's what she's for. Okay, because Lilandra or Lysandra, whoever the daughter is, her, the flag dude, some other Imperial Guard people. Oh yeah, it's on. Shi'ar is on with that flag guy. Okay, so all of a sudden she goes from being sort of craptastic, I gotta be honest, to being pretty good. And then when you add in Professor X to start swapping in your Shi'ar, oh yeah, she goes to tier 2. Again, you're like, man, like, come on. Combat reflexes of vulnerability and willpower. Yeah, she has willpower in Blade Claw's Fangs. And she can choose to, one, use Flurry or exploit weakness. So charge Flurry Blades. I think that's a good deal for 50 points. And the flag gives, hey, there's the flag, I get +1 attack. Minus, and there's other people with different flag buffs. So, like, yeah. 50 points charge, Blaze Claw's Fangs with Flurry. Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, you so killed my 50-point guy over my, King Gladiator, Emperor Gladiator. Oh, I'm so sad. So sad that I lost a 50-point pawn. And you overlooked my main cannon. Thank you. Oh, did you completely just focus your entire attention on my main cannon? Charge, Flurry, Blaze, Claws, Fangs. Oh, what do you mean you just took 7 damage in that turn? That's your fault. Okay. There are levels of tactical preparedness that I think that is on the table. And I know some folks will be like, but I'm not thinking about the Shi'ar Dark Logos. I'm not thinking about them. I'm like, okay, go sleep. Go to sleep, take your nap. Let me tuck you in and rock you just a bit, because this is some tech to hit people sideways at locals. Like this is some serious tech to hit people sideways at locals. Okay? Alright. Next up, we're going to get a little special here. I know this one was a little bit more in demand, which is the Chase Psylocke at 40. So again, I don't think, it's at half. So we're not playing her at full. Okay, so let's look at why. Okay, first and foremost, she has Psychic Bow. Incapacitate. When she uses it in hits, after resolutions, choose a standard attack or defense power the hit character can use, and that character can't use that power until your next turn. Now, I think they are sort of ruling this as outwit. So against power cosmic characters, I do not believe that this is going to be useful. Again, swap in, swap out. If it, swap in, swap out. But having the perplex, having that trait, which means is like, oh, you have senses? I hit you with that incapacitate, dog. You ain't got senses no more. Okay? Now, if they're in a situation where, like, I got impervious, super senses, and ESD, You got to pick one. You got to pick one. You don't negate them all. That part is a little sad. But when you are looking at a situation where I have upfront precision strike, I have my own perplex, I have sidestep stealth, so I'm not super mobile. I'm good enough, and I'm dealing with super senses. You better roll that 6, or else I am taking away your senses. Because I'm going to perplex up my attack. You got that 17 defense. I need a 6. And I have 2 targets. So I'm going to come in and neuter 2 targets. And I think this is something where when you start looking at it, her dual target hit is just as powerful as 2 outwits. And when you start weighing her with Beast, you have to ask yourself in the swap matchup, because in my opinion, you would swap him with Beast, her with Beast, Psylocke with Beast, is 1. If I go and look at my opponent's team, are they outwittable? If yes, consider Beast and consider Psylocke. Okay, next question. Question number 2. Am I going to be primarily focused on outwitting a few characters or a lot of characters? If it's few characters, Beast is winning. If it's a lot of characters, Psylocke is winning. Okay, move on to the next part of the decision tree. Am I primarily trying to negate multiple defenses, or do I need to negate movement powers and damage powers primarily? If I need to negate movement powers and damage powers primarily, go with Beast. If I need to primarily negate defense powers, go with Psylocke. Okay, does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense. Are you tracking? Are you tracking? Good, you're tracking. All right. So, when we look at this reality, Psylocke has a lot more advantages than she did in the past. All right, let's say she gets hit with a standard 3 damage attack. She goes into sidestep and power. That's not so hot, but if you wanted to invest the time, yeah, you can X-Men heal her back up. Couple other notes that I think a lot of people may have forgotten. She has martial artist. She has spy. Those keywords are not bad keywords and are useful still currently. So definitely consider that about Psylocke. All right, next up is 102 Cyclops. And this dude, I do believe it's approaching his day. Now, he's 100 points, and I know some of you be like, you whippersnapper here. Like, you keep bringing up these high point characters, Dark Logos. I'm not feeling this. But I'm like, yo, you probably are going to be thinking a little bit differently once we start having this conversation. All right. So, first and foremost, I keep using that. That's my phrase. That's my introductory phrase. I just sort of look at that. All right. So, let's look at our first line. Assembling an interdimensional X society. During force construction, characters with the keywords that begin with X dash gain the X-Men keyword if they don't have it already. Now, I want to point out to you how many that is. So go and open up your HC Realms or your dial thing of choice. And open to the chapter of X dash. Okay, so you get the following keywords: X Club, X Core, X Factor, X Forced, X Men, X Statics. That's a lot. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keywords to pull from. Okay? That's 6 keywords to pull from. All right. And they all gain the X-Men keyword at force construction. So congratulations, you have new homies for swap out. All right. So that's first and foremost. So you now have a starting force that is probably way more attuned and tweaked than you think. Now, is it like all the options? No, it's not like all the options. But there are some very nice options that do come up that are not X-Men that you probably want to consider. All right, definitely when you start looking at that X Factor and that X-Force category. Those two in particular. I wish Generation X was part of that, but it's not. I wish New Mutants was part of that, but it's not. I wish Hellions was part of that, but it's not. Gotta deal with it the way it is. All right, yes, and I will say this. Is there a lower dial on him? This Cyclops, yes, there is. I am really pro this full dial, and I'm going to keep going in why. Next, he has Magneto's mental shielding helmet. Protected. Mind control, outwit, penetrating psychic blast. All three of those. That's pretty good. Now, does he have a whole lot of defense or damage reduction? No, he doesn't, so the psychic blast is not that big of a deal. But in today's environment, the mind control sure the heck is. You know, Brother Voodoo might as well be on the track with how much mind control that's going on in today's environment. Okay? Next, he has, we can still do this if you all listen to me. Stop. When this click's first revealed, after resolution, heal Cyclops a number of clicks equal to the number of other friendly characters on your force. Let's go back to Kitty Pryde. What does she do? She generates a Pog. How many other X-Men that we have that generate a Pog? Oh my gosh. There's Maggot. Maggot generates a Pog. And it's like there are other X-Men characters that we have that generate force. Oh, we have Madrox, who is a multiple man, who is able to generate more Madroxes. So, when you look at this, unless someone has something that just says, screw your stop clicks, there's enough ways to build around this character where your opponent might get him to stop and he's just like, yo, I'm about to chase Black Widow, you homie. And you're back to full. And you're just like, all right, round 2, fight. Let's do this. So, that's something else just to think about as well. Like, you can put the power gem on him, and now he's a 13-5. Like, just straight up, he's a 13-5. That's scary. That's scary. That's heavyweight numbers, mind you. Okay? Because a lot of us right now are sort of hodgepodging different characters and perplexes and enhancements together to try to get a 12-4. And he starts out the gate with that. Okay, the next thing that I really have to also emphasize is he has an 8 range, which allows him to reach out and touch somebody real quick. All right, so that's something else to be considered. Now, could you go in and put Space Gem on him so you can start doing silliness with that? Or Soul Gem, or Reality Gem. Yes, like really pretty much all the gems can make him like baller, okay? And a good chunk of the rings as well. Like when we start looking at the standard equipment that's still in the game and usable, Cyclops can use 95% of it. And it's good. What was the sword? Necron sword. He can use it really well. Heck, even Corvus's glaive and Proxima Midnight Staff, he can still use it rather well. Is it a preferred weapon? Probably not. Okay? So those are things for us to think about. But yeah, I think this guy is a contender. I think his day is here with the current environment because you could just look at him and just say, oh no, Cyclops, you got to go. You got to go. We got to swap you out for the other homie. And I think there are enough other X-Men options that even if you played him at 75, which I'm not so much pro, I think you have enough other X-Men that you can bring in and make him useful because after Force Construction, he's done most of his work. He's done a lot of heavy lifting. So I really do believe, like right now, I really want everybody to look at 102 Cyclops. All right. We're about an hour in. We're almost done. I know we're going long. I've had some inflations and stuff, but we're almost done. We got 3 more characters left. Next up is Gambit 103. Now, I think this Gambit, again, he's expensive. Why are we looking at him? We're looking at him on Monster Team. We're not looking at, he can't be on X-Men. But here's some cool things. Number 1, he has 2 targets. And this is important when we start talking about his incapacitate, when he uses his close action, because now he can target 2 characters. Hit characters are given 2 action tokens instead and gain immobile until your next turn. Okay, so again, incapacitate period. When Gambit uses it as close action, now he can target 2 characters with his close action. Hit characters are given 2 action tokens instead and gain immobile until your next turn. Do you want to lock something down? Do you need to make sure that their Sky Tyrant isn't going to flying leap over your entire team? There you go. Do you not want to play WWE stuff? Here's your option, and it's 100 points. He also deals penetrating damage that affects his poison, and when he does it. Gambit uses opposing characters within 3 squares are considered adjacent. That does not include line of fire. So there are a lot of cool things with Gambit that allows him to be a lot more frustrating to your opponent than previous scenarios. What tier is he? I would argue that he's tier 2. I think there's enough scenarios, and with the monster keywords, he can get buffed up. With Psylocke, tier 1, I do believe that she's tier 1. And with the 102 Cyclops, I do also believe that he is tier 1. I just think a lot of people do not believe it. He's tier 1. All right. Next up is Moonstar. Why Moonstar? Well, she has charge, plus she gets the wing symbol. Oh, no, that's later on. Sorry. She starts off with running shot, and then she has incapacitate when Moonstar uses it. And again, she has 2 bolts. Also deal her damage value divided among her hit targets. Now, she does have 2 damage. There is nothing stopping... actually, never mind. It's deal her damage value. All right. So you want to probably get something like Precision Strike or Psy Blast to grant her. Okay? Because in that case, you would be dealing penetrating damage. Or gain exploit. Okay? Next, chosen for battle. Stop invulnerability, super senses for the rest of the game. Moonstar can't be healed past this click. And she has the charge and the wing symbol. It's 65 points. If you're looking at a situation where you're like, oh man, he's going to get the alpha on me. He's going to do a lot of damage to me. And you can mastermind. And there's no way for him to get rid of your mastermind. Mastermind into Moonstone. Like just activating her to that charge. 11 attack, 4 damage. That is worth the points. Now, I know some of you be like, no, I'm not feeling that. And then, okay, cool. Again, that's why we swap out. Next up is Wolverine. 107 Wolverine. And this is the Eternal Struggle Wolverine. And again, I'm saying what I've said before. If it doesn't fit right now, swap out. Let's look at it and why this Wolverine is legit. First off, we have Eternal Struggle. When Wolverine is hit with a ranged attack, which is a lot of times, that's going to happen. Very few people are going to engage Wolverine in a melee attack. They're more than likely going to engage him in a ranged attack. Once they he has 0 range, they're not going to read his card. Okay, I'm just going to shoot him with my Cyclops. Well, you done messed up. Also, when you start, you can advance him downfield, and people will be like, "Oh, okay, I'll shoot your Wolverine." Okay, he teleganks. He's going to be right next to the guy that attacked him downfield. Thank you for distributing my Wolverine for me. Okay. When he is hit with a ranged attack after resolutions, you may place him in any unoccupied square adjacent to the attacker. If you do, heal him 1 click. Modify damage by +1 if targeting a character with a range value greater than 0. Congratulations. I have +1 damage to punch your ranged guy. Oh, what do I have? Toughness. When Wolverine is hit with an attack, the maximum damage opposing characters can deal Wolverine is their printed damage value. Oh, you have 5 enhancements. Does not matter. You can only do your printed damage value. Alright. Wolverine can't be carried once he's on his later clicks. He can be carried in his early clicks. So if you want to try to force him downfield, you can. Is there anything really that's going to make Wolverine better? Exospecs, and that's it, because Exospecs makes everyone better. Hypersonic to the speed, homie. Hypersonic to the speed. And that's about it. There's really not much else that makes him better. And I think that's fine. Now, I know some of you are going to say, Dark Logos, you give him the Power Gem. What about all that 13.5 goodness you were talking about? Blah, 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 you did with Cyclops. Oh, okay, cool. But I don't believe that he gets as much out of it that Cyclops got. Now, again, like I said, are we always having him in there? No. We're not married to that paradigm anymore. And since we're not married to that paradigm anymore, we have to start saying, why is this an option? Okay? And I'm just going to tell you why it is an option. Because it jacks with Jason. It jacks with Jason. So, let's go into it real quick. Why does this jack with Jason? When Wolverine is hit with a ranged attack, what is Jason's mind control? A ranged attack. After resolutions, so after all the mind controls are done, you may place him in any unoccupied square adjacent to the attacker. Well, they better have Jason surrounded by the time in some weird miracle, which more than likely isn't going to happen. Okay? If you do, heal him 1 click. Modify damage +1 if targeting a character with a range value greater than 0. You don't even have to punch Jason. Now, again, I know everybody said, Power Gem, Dark Logos, that's an easy +2 damage right there, because after they hit you with that range attack, you're going to get that additional +1 attack, and then boom, another one from the Power Gem. I mean, another 2 damage from the Power, and 1 from the Power Gem, and another +1 damage. Yeah, that sounds great, Dark Logos, come on. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. Power Gem has to be a constant. Whoever you're swapping this character with, are they your Power Gem football carrier? Are they your wide receiver? If yes, then great. Now, I know some folks say, but Dark Logos, they'll just tap them and then ignore them. Okay. nothing stopping you from healing him. Nothing really. And nothing stopping him from sidestepping and sashaying and becoming a problem. Oh, I got rid of all their melee attackers. Oh, what shall I do? Oh, I am in a tight corner, a tight corridor. And up front is Wolverine. Oh, what shall I do? They can't draw line of fire to any of my characters other than Wolverine. Well, what shall I do? And there you go. And there are other options for you to consider. And I don't want it just to be like, well, the best equipment in the game right now is just the gems, which isn't true. It's just that the gems offer the most flat benefits in a world where getting flat benefits are less common or harder to manipulate. Oh, look, I have the illusion generator. I get shape change. Oh, yay. But hold up. What happens if I put the illusion generator on 102 Cyclops and he gets successful? And then he gets popped a stop click. Well, hey, he might be healing a little bit more, in spite of those illusions not being the best. Oh, what about the garbage can? No, you're not using the garbage can. Well, if I put the Waldo arms on Wolverine, is that good? It could be. Hey, all depends on what you roll. So I want you all re-looking at this set. I want you all just get my cliff notes, and I'm gonna hit you with this hard and fast. Wolverine, he could be a swap. Cyclops, I think I prefer him on main force and sort of staying in there at 70 or 120. More people are going to go towards 70. Kitty Pryde, more likely prefer her to be main force just for what she provides. But again, you can swap her out. Storm, she's a very solid piece at half to swap out. Beast, a swap. Gambit, a swap. Magneto, a swap. Rachel Summers, a swap. Iceman potentially could be a main force, definitely if you're going more defensive and you're playing two of him. Hope Summers, really recommend her being on main force, tier 1 character, but again, can be a swap depending on your utility situation. Cannonball, a swap. Magic, a swap. Warbird, a swap. Psylocke, a swap. Cyclops, main force starter. 102 Cyclops, main force starter. Gambit, monster teams could use him. Moonstar, swap. Wolverine, swap. When you start thinking in the swap mechanic, when you start thinking in, oh, I'm going to use these for these certain situations, instead of, here are my 80 trouble alerts that I never get to generate. Here are my 50 troublemakers that I never get to play. You are actively thinking each game, I need this person, I need this person, I need this person, I need this person. And they work together like this. Or this character solves this problem on their team, and I know what my distribution method is, and I know what my general offense is. You have to have those things. So I recommend a lot of you all, you're going to listen to this show, I recommend just coming back to it periodically and just say, Dark Logos talked about swapping a lot. What did he say about that character? What do I need in my current team building that I may not have considered? What character is probably a little bit better now than they were before? Oh, I need more tempo, so having willpower on Rachel Summers, and also willpower I think is on Iceman. Yeah, on Iceman. They might actually serve my tempo better than some other options that I was considering. Okay? So, again, I know the easy, quick, shortcut logic is House of X and Rise and Fall is totally better than Regenesis. And on the surface level, that is true. But when we look at the nuanced reality, Regenesis is still good. There are still solid options in Regenesis. It all matters about your core tactics. If you're a Rushdowny guy, I can understand you not liking Regenesis because there's not a lot of Rushdowny things. But there are a lot of utility things. If you take away nothing else from this podcast, look at Rachel Summers. Just look at Rachel Summers. All right. Okay, so that's it for today's show. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space. Still trying to get the Twitter and the YouTube to talk, and it's failing. I'm still trying. Okay. Then you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. So, let me know what you think of these Redux. I've gotten some positive feedback in the comments of the ABPI and also some comments in the emails and some comments, personally from people I know. So I'm going to keep them coming because there really isn't much other information to talk about. And I think there's a lot of things that we can get into. The next one, because I was encouraged to stay in chronological order, if I do Star Trek and I have to look at it, I'm going to do Star Trek as a whole. I'm not going to break it into Resistance and Futile and the Boldly Go. It's all going to be one, combined summary. Now, if people feel that Resistance and Futile and Boldly Go need to be separate, let me know in the comments, okay? Then what we'll be looking then is X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga. WWE in Orville may be one show. And then I might end up combining the paints, the deep cuts, into one overview. So it would be the Regenesis deep cuts, the Fantastic Four deep cuts, and I think there's another deep cuts that's coming, or I forgot which one it was. I know my spidey sense is telling me there was another deep cuts, but I may be wrong. So that's the goal. But we're going to try to keep them in order. That should give me content to about Thanksgiving, maybe even to Christmas, maybe, depending on how fast or slow this goes. And what other things go on. So, all right, that's it. I'd like to thank you all for listening, and remember, we all have to start over sometime.